Hello everyone. My name is Caitlin Berrol. I am an assistant dean of admission here at Reed College. I work with international students, but I've also worked on the domestic side as well. And I am actually a Reed College alum. I graduated in 2023 with a degree in English and a concentration in creative writing. I'm really excited to talk to you all today and give you an idea about what it means to apply to a school early decision and figuring out if that round really is the best round for you to select. So this session is really going to give you a somewhat broad understanding of early decision, and if schools, are following our same deadlines, then they're likely going to, yeah, be applicable to other schools, not just Reed. Hopefully, this is going to be a really helpful session for understanding all those different rounds. So please ask any questions that you have in the chat, and I will address them as we go along, or I will just save some for the very end for a little Q&A session if you all like. But yes, that is essentially what you can expect from this session. So now I'm going to share my screen. I have a lovely presentation for you. Let's see. Perfect. Okay, great. Could I get like a thumbs up if, or like a little note in the chat if you can see what I am sharing? It's this. Is early decision right for me, Paige? Perfect. Let's see. Awesome. Okay, great. Can you see me as well as the PowerPoint slide? Lovely. Okay, great. I love these little emoticons. I feel like they're so helpful. I'll pin my little view so that you'll be able to see me easily. And we're just gonna get started. All right. So a great place to start when we think about early decision is figuring out what exactly the difference is between these different application rounds. We have early decision one, we actually have early decision two as well, which I'll talk about in a moment. We have the early action round, and then we have regular decision. So there are four different rounds total that students can apply for. I usually like to start from the right-hand side of this chart here with important dates and deadlines, and then move to the left. So when it comes to regular decision is the latest application round that a student can apply for. You might apply regular decision to a place like Reed if maybe you found us later in the application process, and you're excited and you want to apply, but we've already passed those other deadlines. Maybe you just have other schools that are a higher priority for you. But that essentially is what the regular decision deadline is. It's pretty simple, pretty standard, and applications for regular decision are due on January 15th. I would make a note that you will hear back from us around April 1st. So that's not quite as much time as you would get in the other application rounds to make that final college decision. Traditionally, college students will announce or commit to a certain college on May 1st, which is known as National College Decision Day. So if you applied regular decision and you got a response from us April 1st, then you would only have 1 month to look at the different colleges that you have been accepted to and make a final decision as to where you would like to go. Early action is kind of similar to regular decision in the sense that it's just the standard non-binding application. However, it is due quite a bit earlier. It is due November 1st. One might apply early action if you're really excited about a school and you want to apply sooner rather than later so the school knows that you're interested in it. But it's also a really good round if you're not totally sure what your first choice college is yet. Some students, when they start applying to colleges, they know exactly what their top choice school is. But if you're still maybe deciding between a couple of different schools and you're not totally sure which one would be the best fit for you at the moment, you don't know where you would imagine yourself within which college community, then early action could be a really great way to get that application in early, let the college know that you are indeed interested in the school. And then you will also get a decision from college a lot earlier. So you'll notice that students who apply early action will receive a decision sometime in February. So that gives you multiple months to really think about where you want to attend college, as opposed to, that regular decision deadline. The cool thing about early action as well is you can apply to a bunch of different schools and then you get to just choose between them once you receive all of those admission decisions. Now we are getting to the star of the show, early decision one and early decision two. Something that I like to talk about at the very beginning is what exactly does early decision mean? Because some folks don't even know. So early decision is essentially a binding application round where you would automatically be committed to a college if you are admitted. So this is essentially you saying, I am applying early decision because this is my top choice school. It's my number one. I can envision myself within your community, and I will be coming here if accepted. I'm totally willing to withdraw all of my applications to other schools if this is the case. So, in short, if you are applying early decision to a college and you are admitted, then you are committed to attending that college in the fall. You will actually even have to sign a binding early decision agreement, which is kind of like a contract, where you will affirm that you understand that you are making a commitment to this school if you are accepted, and that it is not a contract that can be broken. The only instance in which we would excuse a student from their early decision commitment is if, the student receives their financial aid package and they find that, affording Reed would just not be feasible. Then we are able to break that early decision agreement, but otherwise, we cannot break that contract. It is a binding contract. So I always tell people, you only apply early decision to a school if you feel fully confident 100% that this is where you will be able to see yourself in this coming year. There are lots of benefits to applying early decision. One of the main ones is that you're going to get a faster response from us, especially if you were applying early decision one. Students receive their decisions in December, but usually before Christmas time. And the applications are due on November 1st. Early decision two is a little bit different. It has a January 15th deadline, and you receive decisions in March. But I'll talk a little bit about early decision two in a moment. Um, so yes, with early decision one, you do get a decision from us a lot sooner. I actually, as a Reed alum, I was someone who applied for the early decision one round. And I remember that I received my acceptance package literally before I had taken any of my final exams before winter break. So that was a really nice package to receive so that I knew that, regardless of how I performed on those finals, I was going to college. So yes, that essentially is a really big benefit of applying early decision. We see that you are really asserting yourself by getting all of your materials in early by November 1st. And we really want to reward that effort by getting you an admission decision as soon as possible. So overall, just zooming out a little bit, the difference between early action and early decision is that early decision is binding. Early action, non-binding. Regular decision, also non-binding. And then we have early decision two. So why would we have two early decision deadlines? There are a couple of different reasons. Sometimes students know that Reed is the school that they want to attend, but they just need more time to work on their application. Maybe they really want to write a super strong personal statement and it's taking some extra time for them to do so. Another instance where I see students apply for early decision two would be if they want us to see their first semester grades from senior year. If you apply for early decision one, then we will only be able to see these predicted grades. But for early decision two, we can see how you performed in that very first semester of your senior year. And sometimes this can just strengthen a student's application, and they can really demonstrate to us, this upward trajectory in their academic performance. So that's another reason someone might apply ED2. Finally, a student might apply early decision two if they did not get into their first choice college. So what I mean by this is that you are only allowed to apply early decision one to one school. And say, for example, you applied early decision one to Lewis and Clark, and then you were denied. That means, you are not attending Lewis and Clark in the fall. You might then look at Reed and think, oh my goodness, I really like Reed, and I think that I would really like to be there on their campus in the fall. That's going to be my new top choice. Then you would get to apply for that early decision two round. So for both early decision one and early decision two, you can only apply to one college. And then as long as you are not admitted to the college you applied early decision one to, then you are welcome to apply early decision two to a different school. Hope that makes sense for everyone. Remember that you can pop some questions in the chat if you do have any questions, and I'd love to answer them. Finally, I just want to make a note about early decision. You will not be limited on the number of colleges that you apply to if you do apply early decision. You are still welcome to apply early action or regular decision elsewhere. So just because you apply early decision to one school does not mean you can't apply to others. Awesome. All right, so I've already kind of discussed this a little bit, but why else might a student apply early decision? So, starting off with demonstrated interest, applying early decision to a college is your number one way to express that demonstrated interest. You can attend a campus visit, go to a college fair, talk to your admission counselor, and so on. But early decision is special because you are letting us know that we are truly your top choice school and that you will be here in the fall if you are admitted. So this is a really great way to just show schools that you are dedicated to becoming a part of their community and that you can envision yourself on their campus. And it definitely can boost your chances of admission in the long run. We also talked about having more time. I kind of talked about it in regard to, completing an application. But if you are accepted to a school under the early decision round, then you simply have more time to focus on your final year in high school, your senior year. So like I said, most institutions require students to commit to a college by May 1st, which is college decision day. You don't have much time to evaluate your college choice options if you applied, for example, in the regular decision round. Early decision is so much faster, and you would receive your decision with enough time to still explore these other colleges, or no, I'm so sorry, wait, backtrack. You would have plenty of time after being admitted early decision to, further explore this college that you are committed to. So what I mean by that is, you would have plenty of time to come and visit campus and see where you'll be in the following year. You could ask questions of your admission counselor and meet them in person on campus. You could potentially shadow a class, and maybe that would be a class in the major that you're thinking of pursuing. These are all things that you could do after you are admitted to a school under the early decision round. And that can just kind of get you even more excited about this journey that you're going to be undertaking in the coming year. I also like to emphasize that, when you are admitted to a school early decision, you will simply have much more time to focus on all the fun parts of your senior year. The example that I bring up a lot is like prom, or maybe you have like a senior tailgate that your school does. These are really cool events that you get to take part in, and you don't have to worry about, where exactly am I going to college in the fall, or worrying about, submitting more college applications or deadlines or anything like that. Instead of worrying about where you'll be headed in the fall, you will get to just chill out, focus on making sure that your senior year is successful, and generally having fun and celebrating the fact that you have been admitted to your first choice school. Third bullet point, you can still apply to other colleges. I already talked about this a little bit. You are not limited to the number of colleges that you apply to, even if you apply early decision. And this goes for early decision one or two. You can still apply early action or regular decision elsewhere, but do not apply to multiple schools under the same early decision round. The fourth bullet point I think is really awesome because if you apply early decision and you're accepted, then you get housing choice priority. And this is specific to Reed. I'm not totally sure if other institutions give this benefit. But at Reed, if you are admitted early decision, you are automatically going to be placed in one of your top two residence halls. So when you apply for housing at Reed, you get to actually rank the different first year dorm communities that will be available to you. And our residence life team will see that you applied early decision and they will intentionally place you where you need to be based on the preferences that you have provided. So this was really cool. I got to live in my top choice dorm my freshman year at Reed. Shout out NATO. It's a great residence hall for first years on campus. So yes, if you're really wondering or hoping to get into a certain dorm, live in a certain style of dorm on campus, then applying early decision can be beneficial in that regard. And then finally, and I think this is actually the biggest benefit to applying early decision, it's that you have a much higher admission rate when you apply early decision to a school like Reed. We know that you're making a really big commitment by applying early decision, so this factor can really strengthen your application. If we're evaluating an application and we're kind of on the edge about admitting a student, kind of teetering between, maybe we'll waitlist or deny, or maybe we'll admit, then seeing that a student applied early decision can really tip them over the edge and get us to admit them, because we know that you are committed to being a part of our community. Furthermore, early decision as well as early action applicants make up about 2/3 of our incoming freshman classes. So there simply is less space for students who apply under that regular decision round. So yeah, about 60%, 60 to 66% of our incoming classes are admitted during those early rounds. And that does include early action, so that is a non-binding round that you could still apply for early. However, early decision definitely gives you the biggest boost. So we have an overall acceptance rate of somewhere below 25%. And early decision applicants get into Reed at twice that rate. So, you have around a 50% chance of being accepted. I also like to note that we are a need-aware school, which means that, we are going to have to take into consideration your ability to afford Reed if you are to come here. So we simply have more financial aid dollars to distribute amongst students who apply in these earlier rounds as well. So that can be another benefit. All right, and I did just mention a little bit about financial aid. The good news is that your financial aid will be completely the same for any application round that you apply for. Reed is committed to meeting 100% of demonstrated need. That is the only basis on which we offer financial aid. It's all on demonstrated need. So what we will ask of you essentially is if you're a domestic student, we'll ask that you submit the FAFSA and the CSS profile, two financial aid applications that our financial aid office will use to calculate your family's estimated financial contribution. We'll take that number, subtract it from the total cost of admission, and that remaining number would be your aid package amount. If you are an international student, then you would only be required to submit the CSS profile, not the FAFSA. So yeah, your financial aid package would be specially created for you based on your financial need. Something that I also wanted to talk about is a new initiative that we have this year, and it is called the Early Decision Aid Review Program. So, if you are considering applying early decision, you and your family can receive an estimated need-based financial aid package by November 1st, giving you the clarity and confidence that you need as you are making a final decision about where you would like to go. All you have to do in order to get this early decision aid review started is to submit all of your application materials by October 17th. And then you need to indicate an interest in receiving this early decision aid review via the READ website. And oh yes, I have a link right here that I can drop in the chat, um, where you can go and indicate interest in getting that early decision aid review. So yes, submit all of your materials by October 17th, indicate your interest, and if the award that you receive meets your need, then you can have your application be an early decision application, and we will move forward with that application review process. With that being said, if you get this early decision aid review package back and it does not meet your need, then we can move your application to the early action round with no penalty at all to your application. We really want to make sure that every READ applicant makes their decision with the full knowledge of all the resources available to them, whether that be financial aid or otherwise. So this is a really cool program that we have introduced. And I will note, it is unfortunately only open to domestic students at this time. So if you live in the United States, then you are eligible to apply for this early decision aid review. Once again, I just want to note that if you receive a financial aid package that doesn't meet 100% of your demonstrated need, then you are able to break that early decision agreement. You will have to go through a petition process with our financial aid team, simply so they can review your financial aid documents and ensure that they didn't miss any important details in your financial aid application. And they could potentially recalculate a new package for you if that is the case. This is usually rare because READ specifically is just very generous with our aid. And like I said, we do meet 100% of that demonstrated need. So it doesn't happen very frequently. Another thing, just going back to that early decision aid review, we really don't want financial aid to be the reason that students don't apply early decision. So yes, really consider making use of that new initiative. All right. So, who should I talk to further about a decision like this? Applying early decision to a school is a very big commitment. And there really is a lot to think about when you are considering colleges. So, who can you talk to get support and really make this final decision about if you would like to apply somewhere early decision? First off, your parent or guardian or caretaker of some kind is always a great person to go to if you're thinking about applying early decision. This is a super big decision that you're making, and you want to ensure that your guardian is also going to be okay with you applying to a school that would entail a binding agreement. Like I said earlier, you also will have to complete something called a early decision agreement, which is a binding contract to apply early decision to a school. And your parent, guardian, or caretaker will need to sign this contract to attest that they also understand the guidelines of applying early decision somewhere. So you definitely want to meet with your guardian and cover those bases. Your school counselor can also be a really great person to go to if you have questions about applying early decision somewhere. Oftentimes, school counselors have a really good grasp on what you can expect from different colleges. And if you let them know, like, hey, I'm thinking of applying early decision to read, then your high school counselor can talk to you more about, like, oh, yes, I think a liberal arts school would be a really great fit for you. And I think you'd really thrive in those small classroom spaces. So your counselor can kind of give you a better idea of, uh, how appropriate applying for this round would be for you. Your high school counselor is also someone who will have to sign that early decision agreement. So you want to make sure that you meet with them and get that signature. Your admission counselor, so thinking about your college admission counselor, is also a really great resource for learning about and applying early decision. I already mentioned earlier, I am an admission counselor here at Reed, and I applied early decision. So I always really like talking to students about, applying early decision, why they think they might want to apply ED, and kind of talking about, the ins and outs of that process. So you should definitely get in contact, email your admission counselor if you do have any questions. You can even email me. Like I said, I'm totally cool to answer any questions. A current Reed student could also be a great person to talk to when making this decision about applying for the early decision round. If you are able to, consider taking a trip to our campus and sitting in on an info session and a tour, and maybe even having an interview with one of our student workers in the admission office. They could give you really reliable information about, what applying early decision was like for them, and how their experience has been on campus. Yeah, our student workers in the admission office are always really happy to chat with students in person or virtually. And you can even email them. We have an email inbox that current students oversee, and it is to the email address writeareedy@reed.edu. And I just sent it in the chat so everyone can see it. If you write to this email, one of our current student workers will answer you whenever they have the time, and they could give you an added perspective on life at Reed. All right. So, in terms of application components, I honestly think when it comes to Reed's application that it's pretty standard when it comes to the different application materials. So we'll need the basic information from you, which is essentially just filling out, your name, your home address, what school you attended, all that kind of good stuff. Usually we also, the common application also asks about, your parents' information, and the like. You will also have a couple of essay prompts that you will need to answer. One of them is simply just the personal statement, where you have a couple of different prompts to choose from, and you tell us more about yourself. Reed also has a supplemental essay that we require that is based on a tradition we have on campus called Paideia, which means for the sake of learning. This is a tradition where students get to upend the classroom hierarchy and teach classes on any subject they want for an entire week. Some examples of Paideia classes in the past include underwater basket weaving, which is an infamous one, the history of comic books. There's also been classes on, how to bake the best chocolate chip cookie, mindful walking, and so on. So really, any class topic will fly for Paideia. So for this supplemental essay, we're essentially asking Reed applicants to propose a Paideia class that they would like to teach and talk about what it would contribute to the Reed community. So as long as you're having fun with this essay and writing about something that you're really passionate about, then you are doing it right. We do also need letters of recommendation for your application. We need 2 letters of recommendation from teachers. Ideally, these teachers will come from 2 opposing academic disciplines. So, for example, think math, or English, or history, or science, any kind of combo that would work beautifully. We also require a letter of recommendation from your high school counselor. So those are the three recommenders that we will need to hear from. Your recommenders can literally just email their recommendation letters to us or submit them through your application portal. Anything works great. Obviously, we will also need all of your high school transcripts to evaluate your application, and that must also be submitted by your high school counselor or some other representative from your school. We cannot accept any transcripts that are submitted by students themselves. If you are interested, you might consider having an interview with Reed. You can either visit campus and have an in-person interview, or you can register for one of our many virtual interviews. And those are widely available on the Reed website under the virtual visit page. If you are an international student, we actually only offer interviews by invitation, and this is simply because there are an overwhelming number of international students who are interested in interviewing with us, and I am only one of two international admission counselors, so we simply, unfortunately, do not have the capacity to accommodate all of those different interview requests. So that would be by invite only. For standardized test scores, Reed is actually a test blind school, which is very cool because if you take the SAT or the ACT, you do not necessarily have to submit your scores because we will not take them into account when evaluating you for admission to Reed. If you do submit your test scores, we might put them in our system just for data purposes, but this will not have any impact on your application whatsoever. If you are an international student, we actually will consider your SAT or ACT score from the English reading and writing portion of those exams. And this would only be used for evaluating your English language proficiency. So we would not look at your total SAT or ACT score or the math portion of that exam. We would only be evaluating your language proficiency with that English section. Like I said already, we do have an early decision agreement that is required to apply early decision. It's a contract. The Common App literally has its own early decision agreement that you can complete. So it's very easy and simple. You just need to get it signed by yourself, your guardian, and then your school counselor. And then you will also apply for financial aid at the same time that you apply for admission to Reed. Like I said, domestic students will submit the FAFSA and the CSS profile. International students will only submit the CSS profile. All right. And we do have some quotes from previous students that I always like to show off. So our past student Body said about her experience at Reed, I found a community that embraced me. I wanted to embrace it back. And I always really like this quote because I think it's definitely reflective of my own personal experience with early decision as well. When I came to Reed's campus, I visited and I walked around, took a tour, had that info session. I immediately knew that Reed was the place where I wanted to be. I knew that we had a really strong curriculum offered here, that academics are rigorous and students work really hard and are genuinely excited about learning. I also knew, just in a community sense, that I'd be coming into a space where I could safely grow into my most authentic self and also just do so in a supportive environment. So we're very inclusive, very welcoming, and I felt that just from a few moments of being on campus. So I knew with Reed almost automatically that this is where I wanted to come. And if that is a similar feeling that you have when you think about Reed, then consider applying early decision. Another quote from Nell, who actually graduated quite a while ago in the class of 2020. Reed was my first choice, so early decision allowed me to express how the school's philosophy resonated with me and my own commitment to attend. It also gave me plenty of time to invest in a high-quality rain jacket. Yes, it is quite rainy here at Reed, here in the Pacific Northwest. If you apply early decision, especially early decision one, you get that decision back in December or February, And then you have many months to find all of those essentials that you need for your college experience in the Pacific Northwest. And, maybe that happens to be a rain jacket. I'm originally from Southern California. I also like to say you should use an umbrella if you feel like you need one. Some folks refuse to use umbrellas here, but I am not one of those people. All right, we have another quote from Gabri. So it was a relief to be able to get out of wait, so sorry, let's backtrack. It was a relief to be able to get my college application out early and get a response to my college admission decision by December. It meant I got to relax for the rest of my senior year and not have the added stress of applying to colleges in the spring semester. So yeah, this kind of just reinforces points that we've already been discussing during this session. It really allows students to kind of relax in that final year of high school, knowing that you've already made the decision of where you are going to go in the fall. And also just, the fact that you feel really confident in that decision as well is the big plus. Okay, yes. So, what are your next three steps when it comes to applying early decision? I think that's a good question. So, the first deadline for our early decision rounds is coming up soon, and it is November 1st, so a little less than a month from today your application will be due. We do ask that you please adhere to this deadline and get your required materials submitted as soon as possible, because we will not be able to actually evaluate your application until we receive all of your required materials. So if you think that you would like to apply early decision, it's a great idea to reach out to your teachers now if you haven't already to request those letters of recommendation. It's also a great time to, inform your school that you need your transcripts to be sent over to that college. So yes, please try to adhere to that deadline so that we know that you are serious about applying early decision and can review your application as soon as possible. The second step is to submit that early decision agreement. I feel like I've spoken about that agreement so many times during this session, but it really is an important element of your application. And this is because if you do not submit this ED agreement, this contract, then we cannot accept your application for the early decision round. We would have to ask you to pursue a different application round, whether that be, maybe early decision two, if you are able to get that agreement in later on, or early action or regular decision. And finally, your third and final step, which is the most fun step, is that you get to celebrate. After you submit an ED application, you really get to, and you ultimately get admitted, you just get to enjoy the fact that you don't have to worry about making a final college decision by May. You know that your future is set, and you're ready to start forging a path forward to Reed. You might also consider celebrating with us, your admission counselors, and the rest of the Reed admission office, because Reed hosts admitted student receptions all throughout the spring, and invites to these events will start being sent out as early as December. So we'd love to celebrate all of your hard work and officially welcome you to Reed's campus if you do end up being accepted under the early decision round. I know I personally really like connecting with other students who have applied early decision, just because that was my experience. And I love the excitement that exudes from students who apply early decision. All right, so just a brief slide on how else might I prepare? What else might be a good idea to do or get involved with before applying early decision or even after? Um, if you're thinking, not really sure, I don't know if Reed is really my number one choice, then it can always be beneficial to schedule a campus tour if that is accessible to you. You could actually get an idea of what our academics and student life look like on a day-to-day basis. And also just, get to immerse yourself in our really beautiful campus. The Pacific Northwest is gorgeous. It's very evergreen. Reed specifically has a lot of beautiful trees. We have several bridges that you can walk over. We have a 28-acre canyon that you can explore with hiking trails and even a little chessboard down there that you can find. Also will just get to talk to students. You could meet with a current student during your time on campus. You could connect by scheduling one of those virtual interviews, like I talked about earlier. But also, if you come in person, you can have an in-person interview, and you could also have the option to potentially go to lunch with some Reed students and eat in our dining hall on campus, and so on. A lot of folks also will sign up for these overnight stays, which is a great way to just sleep over on campus in one of our dorms with a current student and figure out if Reed is really the right place for you, both academically and socially. And that essentially is the end of my presentation. So I want to thank you all for joining us. We do have an email address that you can contact us at, and that would just be admission@reed.edu. And I'll type it in the chat. Admission@reed.edu. Perfect. So if you do have any questions about applying early decision or just the application process in general, please feel free to use this email address to reach out. Or if you have the email address of your admission counselor, then you can always email them as well. But yes, that is the conclusion of my presentation. So now I would love to take any final questions that folks have. If you would drop them in the chat, that would be really awesome. The reason that I'm not having folks unmute is just because we are recording this session to send out to other students as well who are not able to attend. So I will stop my screen sharing and I will hang out for a moment and see if any questions roll in. But yes, I just want to thank you all again for being such wonderful attendees. And oh, I'm so glad that this information was helpful. I always really like talking about the early decision rounds, and it definitely is a really big benefit in the application process. Oh, yes, great question. What is the admission rate for early action students? So earlier I was talking about how about 60% of our incoming freshman classes are made up of students who apply early decision or early action. So early action students are included within that 60% point. With that being said, I don't believe we have a set admission rate for early action students, but I don't believe it would be quite as high as the 50% admission rate for early decision applicants. For early action, I think it would be slightly lower than that, but applying early will always be a huge benefit to you in the admission process. Like I said, our regular admission rate is lower than 25%. So we're definitely a selective school. So early action or early decision is a great way to show your interest in Reed and really boost your chances of being admitted. Good question. Do we have any more? I know y'all have to type, so I'm like, I'm just patiently bobbing along. Okay, great. Yes, another question. Is the admission rate for early decision one higher than that of early decision two? No, we always tell students that the benefits of early decision one and early decision two are exactly the same. So you can apply for either round and you will have the same exact benefits. Obviously, if you apply early decision one, you're going to be on our minds a lot earlier on in the process. But no, when it comes to evaluating students for the early decision two round, we will be very impressed that you are committed to attending if you are accepted. We love to see that interest and that commitment to our community. Also, if you were using this extra time to prepare a really strong application, and that's kind of the reason why you wanted to opt for that later deadline, that is awesome. And yeah, you won't be penalized for having applied later than early decision one students. I believe the admission rate would be pretty much the same, around that 50%. Very good question. Do we have more? Or maybe could someone give me a thumbs up if they are writing a question? All right. It looks like we do not have any further questions. So I just want to thank you all once more for joining me today and listening to me talk about these different application rounds. Like I said, if you do have any further questions about this application process, then I definitely encourage you to either reach out to me, your admission counselor, or you can reach out to admission@reed.edu and we will reply to you as soon as possible with a response. Thank you all again. I hope to read some early decision applications from you in the near future. And please keep an eye out for other virtual events. We would love to see you there. So thank you so much and have a wonderful day. Bye, everyone.